Now we've got the documents set up, we need to include the panel information first. So that will be going to File, File, Place, and it may be in your downloads, and it should be called Panel Template, and just select Place. It will give you a little thumbnail of the different panels, as there's 5 different pages. Obviously you can only select one, so if you make it larger it might be a bit easier to view, and I'm going to select number 4 as it's probably the most dynamic and suits my template the best. Once that's selected, select it, and that will be in a sort of a preview mode, as it's got that sort of bounding box and diagonal X through the image. To get rid of that, just press return or select another tool, and that's your panel sizing for your graphic novel. Now if you wish, you can always select them, most likely you're just using the marquee selection tool, selecting them, going to edit, cutting it, pasting it, rotating it, modifying if you wish, if it doesn't suit yours as yet. Now what we're going to do is go through and place in your different images, and it's always going to be best to start from the back and work your way to the foreground and major subject matter. So make sure you copy across your images. So email yourself your images, Dropbox your images to the Mac, so all the imagery is on the Mac in your CAD folder for easy file management. What I'm going to do is select first of all my background image, which I've got here. When sourcing, especially found images, it's best to use things like Flickr are really good. Open up account, as they're really well shot images using good equipment, right lighting, good quality photographers or professional photographers, nice and creative, well captured, and high resolution, as when you search for it and to download it, you can select this little tab and you can get the original size, so really large, and it gives you the flexibility of using these other ones, which is probably the large ones. Easily suitable, medium may be suitable for the graphic novels case. If you're just Googling it, it's best to obviously use the image tab, but then you'll be selecting here, rather than saying more tools, it may be saying more tools, and then you want to change the image rather than any size to large, which once again will give you generally a better quality image, better lighting, better composition, as the photographer or the person uploading it has thought about how the end user is going to use that image. So I've selected my background image. You'll be able to either save the image into your CAD folder, that's always going to be best, or I'm just going to quickly simply copy it for this quick video and paste that in the background. So up to edit and paste, or Command V. Now that's going to paste straight into the middle of my template. I'm going to put, what I'm going to do first of all is introduce you to the Layers tab, and that's where the real power of Photoshop comes in. It gives the flexibility, and once you increase that, you're going to be referring to this all the time. You're going to want to change the names. I'm going to call it background panel 2, so I can be placing it in here, and I can easily view it later and manage my files, manage my layers better later on. And what I'm going to do is move that image up into that panel. Now, as you can see, it's 100% solid, and so therefore you can't see the bounding box of the panel behind. So what we're going to do is just change the opacity a little bit lower, move the image to where we want it to be. Let's say we want a little bit of the church. Scale it down. Shortcuts, very similar or same as Illustrator, so Command plus and minus, you're going to be able to zoom in and out. Select an image, and Command T is going to be transform, otherwise edit, transform. Similar process, you'll get the bounding box, you'll be able to scale it. Once again, hold Shift to keep it in proportion. And panel 2, we're going to make it so it's just sort of setting the scene. Arrows to make it a bit slower process, and we'll set that in there. Just press return and that will be set. Now obviously we need to go through and crop these areas out, so we'll use the marquee tool to do that because that's going to be best. Zoom in so I can be nice and precise. Select the area and obviously our layer selected, the correct layer selected, and just press delete and that will be able to delete. So once again, select the area, delete, select the area, delete. Now what you can do is change that opacity back up to 100%. This image is quite saturated and maybe a bit overexposed, so I'm going to drop that back down to somewhere about 85, just so we can see the quality of the timber on the church. What I can just do is Command V once again, and we'll move this one into panel number 3. And now look at what images you're going to bring in to work out the best location. Okay, so I might introduce this image, and it's roughly going to be there. Set that, crop it down. Whoops, I missed a bit. Might just push it across a little bit. Oops. And to deselect, just go up to select and then deselect. And now we'll be able to push that image back into the scene a bit better. Change that to 86. And now we're going to introduce our lovely character here, Lonesome Cowboy. Scenes, you can use Halloween costumes for some of the images, but you're going to find it really difficult to find this same character wearing the same outfit taken from different angles. That's why it's best if your character and the other character in the graphic novel is one of a family member, a friend, a classmate, because then you can determine exactly what angle it needs to be, what expressions on the face, how the lighting's appearing, the size of it, what different props and costumes are needed. So what we're going to do is view that image at a higher level, copy the image back into Photoshop, paste it in. Once again, it's going to be really large, so edit, free transformation, scale that right down. And when searching for images, it's always best to find an image like these in terms of a white background, because you're going to be able to simply select that background and remove the character from it, or select the background and delete it. Whereas images like this are going to be really hard to select the individual characters, as it might be picking up, especially around this area, around where the shirt goes back onto the scenery in the background are very similar. So it's going to be really time consuming and difficult to cut that person out or character out of this scene. So what we're going to do is remove that background. Now once again, we've already used the marquee effect, which you can see what that's doing, and you can see what other sort of shapes you can create. You can use the lasso tool, which is just sort of freehand, and you can always hold shift and add to it, or alt and subtract from it and delete those areas. You can use the polygon, the magnetic tool will work actually quite well. I have it as it uses the sort of the hard edge or contrast of the image. And just loop back to there, and we can delete that area. Or even better, probably the magic wand, that magic wand. Now to deselect areas, as I've got it selected there, and you'll be able to go through and delete. However, it's not picking up all areas, as we can see here and here, so on and so forth. So if you just go to select, you're going to be able to select similar, and that will delete that. In the future, you might want to go select similar, and then select inverse, which is going to select exactly opposite. No, so now we're going to keep the background and remove the character ourselves. So that's the sort of the power of the select tool. When you go inverse, delete that background, deselect, and make our character a lot smaller so he fits into the scene. Whoops. Now you're going to want to make your characters taking up a reasonable portion of the scene. Otherwise, they're going to be very small and difficult to see, as the whole document is only roughly an A4 size. These characters are going to be really small otherwise and not visible. So we'll apply that. Rectangle, cut off his legs a little bit. What's also, you can see now we've got all these layers which we can turn on and off, rename them, arrange them. So he's going to be, obviously, you can see he's just behind there. So clicking and dragging. And what's really powerful is this auto select tool. So if I select an image, if I select an image, you can see it changes the positioning on that layers palette. So it's detecting what layer I'm wishing to modify. Now, the last thing is to go through and just modify our character a little bit more in terms of maybe changing it, making it blend into the background a bit more. So changing the brightness and decreasing that as it's sort of a sunset. It's looking a bit better. And even changing brightness is really good. Possibly the hue and saturation, but always the color filter is going to be nice. And within this image, you know, a warm filter is going to work really well, or a red or an orange. Whereas if it's an underwater scene, maybe the blue filter will work really well to get those really cool colors. And selecting OK. Continue on with the remaining scenes in terms of including all the different characters, the background scenes. As I said, it's always best to work from the back to the foreground, so then your layers are roughly already in order. And I'll introduce the text on the following, the text on the next video. Thanks.